Watch out. What's up, guys? Welcome into the channel. I finally got the kids to sleep. Gonna come down here in the garage and pound some balls. If you're new to this channel, first off, welcome. Secondly, my name is Alex, and I have worked in sports finance for a little over a decade at this point, where each and every day, me and my team were essentially tasked with taking data and taking numbers and using that to drive the business forward, so that we can compete off the field and we can compete as an organization on the field. So with that being said, it's funny that I do that, professionally on a daily basis, and I've never actually applied that skill set to my golf game. I've played golf for 30 years, and really a lot of it has always just been kind of a gut instinct kind of feel for the most part, trying to replicate things that I see with my eyes, but never taking data and metrics and helping that shape my golf game. So you can go back to my first video where I get a little bit more into the background and context of where we're at right now. But in short, I've really set two goals for myself this summer. The first is that I want to average carry distance off the tee of 300 yards. So right now I'm sitting at about 256 yard carry distance, certainly some work to go. My second goal by the end of the summer is that I want to get down to about a 3 or 4 handicap. So right now I'm on the cusp of double digits. I think both those goals are tied at the hip. And what I mean by that is that I think they're very aligned. The farther you can be off the tee, the more short irons and wedges you actually put in your hand over the course of a round, which really increases your scoring ability. So how we've kind of broken out the summer is right now we're in, I would call it the efficiency stage. Before we add any kind of raw power and speed to my driver, we just want to be as efficient as possible with the swing that I currently have. And that's really focusing on things like spin, right, and launch angle, and not even really worrying about club speed and ball speed yet, just really focusing on how efficient I can be here. So the funny thing is I took to Reddit a couple weeks back, which is always a questionable thing to do. There's two different sides of Reddit. One is, call it the terrible cesspool side of Reddit, where who knows what you're going to get from that side. The other side is you get some really helpful tips. And so I stayed on this side of things. I asked folks how they generally approach like standing up, for example, at impact. And I got some really good feedback on drills. And one of them is called the hell drill. So I've been doing the hell drill the last couple of weeks. I'll run through a couple of other drills that I've gone through. But one thing that I thought was actually super helpful is I downloaded this app called Sportsbox AI. And what it is it really takes your swing and puts it into a 3D model and really compares it to, I mean, there's a lot of things that it does, but one of the options is you can compare it to a PGA Tour professional or an LPGA Tour professional, and see where your swing is maybe dramatically different than a pro who is very efficient with their swing. So I want to walk through that real quickly before we get into any of the swings tonight. So let's dive into that, and then I'll talk about maybe some of the practice skills, and then let's hit some balls. Let's just see where we're at a couple weeks into this process. All right, so I did want to show just something super cool that I downloaded. I had never heard of this app before until a couple weeks ago. It's called Sportsbox AI. So I'm in the first couple weeks of actually using it, still figuring out all the cool things that it can do. But one thing that I just wanted to roll through quickly is just some of the analysis and comparison that this app kind of gives you the ability to do, and it goes kind of hand in hand with the metrics and data and analysis that we're kind of doing this summer. So for example, here's just one of my swings from the other night that I got recorded in the app, and it lets you go to this kind of pro collections comparison where there's just a couple different models that you can kind of compare your swing to. So let's click on this female tour pro, and we'll just kind of compare my swing to hers. So for example, there's this kind of robotic overlay, all the various kind of points, elbows, pelvis, shoulders, all these kind of pivot points in comparison. My swing overlaid on top of hers. Now you can get a little bit more synced up. This is just kind of showing without linking the swings together and the timing of the swings, how my swing kind of compares to hers. And in going through this, it's super interesting because, for example, like
like I said earlier, I have never really had a professional swing coach. I've never had anybody to really get into the nitty-gritty of analyzing. But when you look at these kind of 9 individual segments of a golf swing and kind of compare my swing to an LPGA Tour pros, you see a lot of very interesting things, such as, look how quickly I hinge my wrists on my driver. And the LPGA Tour Pro is a little bit more, not lackadaisical, but a little bit more, I guess, slow to hinge versus myself, who kind of hinges early in the backswing. I think the second thing here that is super interesting is look how close my hands are to my shoulder. It's a very compact swing, and I actually think I'm losing a lot of speed from just where my hands are aligned and kind of where the club is going. This is where I think the most interesting thing is, where I could swear to you that I'm shallowing out the club. And look at my comparison. Look at kind of how upright and steep my approach is into the ball versus the LPGA Tour Pro, who's, you know, much more flat, much more kind of inside out than myself. And then you look at our follow-throughs, and, you know, a part of these swings, you know, in going through this, there's definitely some things that I was surprised about to say, like, okay, that actually looks pretty good when you kind of throw it into this model. But there's some glaring issues here, like my wrist hinging early in my backswing, and really just how steep of my approach I actually have. I know I'm steep because I'm standing up at impact, but it's super interesting then to compare it to see really what the difference is between where the club should be on approach to impact and where the club actually is. So I have spent a lot of time in this app the past couple of days just kind of looking at all the different insights and, you know, data points that it actually gives me, and then trying to take this knowledge and work on a few drills that just kind of get me back in sync with what I'm trying to do here. So I would actually highly encourage, if you're very interested in data, very interested in numbers, I would actually highly encourage going in and downloading this app. I think there's a lot of different kind of subscriptions. I think, like I said, this basic one is, I think just the Pro edition, and I think it's $20 a month, maybe. But it's really cool, just some of the other metrics, right, that you can actually do on here. So for example, we just talked about kind of the steep angle of the club and standing up at impact. You can actually visually show it here. So for example, my setup, I'm sitting here at about 39 degrees before I even start my swing. Let's get a little bit more accurate. If we just take that up to the top of my head, it's really close to 35 degrees. And as you'll see at impact, look at my spine angle. It is actually entirely different. So there's a good, like, I don't know, 5 to 8 degrees here that is actually changing. And you can actually measure it here on this app where, oops, fix this really quick. It's really cool because you can actually measure it on this app and see, like, specifically what degree you're actually changing. Like, what does that actually impact when you stand up? So like, if you just look here and we just kind of run these numbers, look, you're dropping down to about 28 degrees, maybe 27 degrees. That's not the same. Like, in a perfect world, your impact with the ball, your spine angle is the exact same. You're rotating around your spine versus kind of standing up and throwing your hands at it. And like I said, I know that I do this mentally. It is very interesting to actually see it on camera and then put some of the lines together to really view it. So like I said, I highly encourage this app and some of the cool different metrics and analysis that you can actually do here. And we'll see how this can actually help us in the long run.
All right, so now that we have taken a look at some of my swing, call it deficiencies, especially when you overlay my swing on top of a PGA Tour Professionals, you see that there's really 3 or 4 things that I do pretty poorly. I mean, I do a few things pretty well, but generally, you know, I'm real steep still. Even though I feel like I'm shallowing out my club head, I'm still very steep in my approach to the ball, and therefore it's really causing me to really drive my hips forward and stand up at impact and create a lot of dynamic loft on this ball. So spent the last couple of weeks really focusing on drills that help me stay shallow as possible, and stay in posture through the ball. Not gonna say they always have worked, But let's give it a go. Let's hit 5, 6, 7 balls right now and just see where we're at in this day and age. We're still early on in the process. Really, the focus is that bottom right-hand box. If we could keep that around 22 to 2,500, I would argue that we're onto something. All right, 270 carry, 2,500 total spin. Felt like we were in posture there. Peak height's a little high, but that's progress. That's certainly progress. Roll out of 280. All right, there's good for swing. Let's do this again, huh? Replicate that. Can we replicate it? That is the goal and the focus of this journey. Not just hitting 300 once, we want that to be our new average. I mean, I'm pulling them, but 272 carry. Club speed, I mean, certainly a little better than my 104 average. Total spin of 2,600. I mean, we're close. We're close. Can I get that down to 2,200? Do I need to flatten out the club even more? Let's see. Let's see where we're at. Come on. Okay, like I said, we're pulling the ball, but that's 278 carry. It's 278 carry club speed. I mean, that's only 107. I mean, 3 decent ones in a row. Come on, keep this up. Keep this up. What can we do here, huh? So right now I got the pulls, but if we're only focusing on that bottom right-hand box and the carry distance, this is 3, 4 good ones in a row. What else can we do here? I'll straighten out this bad boy. Let's stay out of the rough. Got a little thunderstorm going outside. So that's the beauty of a golf simulator. It can be thunderstorming and raining at 11 o'clock at night, and we're in here working on the game. So that was probably the worst one of the night. 3,700 total spin, totaling 263. Not a killer drive, but in any round that wouldn't hurt us. It would not hurt us. Okay, let's hit about 3 more here. honestly, let's roll this data up. Let's see where we're at. But I do think I'm making progress. I do feel like I'm tweaking a little bit of my swing enough to feel like I'm shallowing out the shaft maybe a little bit more. I feel better, despite, you know, half these drives really not looking any better. A few of them really felt like I'm starting to get the hang of things. So let's roll this up. Let's take a look at the numbers. Let's see where we're at these first couple weeks in.
All right, so before we hop into the data, I'm gonna do that annoying part of the video where I ask you to please like and subscribe. Candidly, it actually does do a massive world of good for the channel itself. And so, hey, I just appreciate you if you made it this far in the video, just kind of coming along on this journey with me. Hopefully, I'm not on an island on my own, right? I do think by using data and being intentional with data, you can make a significant improvement to your golf game. And I'm really trying to prove that out. So I hope you guys are actually kind of not just like following along with me. I hope that you guys are actually doing kind of the same things and finding ways to get data and feedback on where your game is at right now, and then be intentional about how you can get better. So speaking of data, let's roll through where we're at through this point now that tonight's session is kind of uploaded on the website. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this. Like I said, I upload this after each and every session. So if there's a video or not, the data is still going to be updated after each and every time that I hit balls in the garage. So one thing I did just want to roll through here in general that I thought was just intriguing when I looked at this tonight is look at our club speed. Since the beginning of this journey, our club speed has actually increased by 2 miles per hour. Not a lot, but it is something, right? But look at ball speed. Ball speed is actually flat. The main reason being is that this kind of third card over here, smash factor, not only are we not kind of improving, we're actually going backwards. So smash factor was close to 1.48 when we kind of started this journey. It's down to about 1.45. So really what that essentially means is that even though the club is, you know, has a little bit more speed and energy, the ball is not seeing the benefit of that because we're not striking it pure. We're not finding the center of the club face. We're catching it on the heel. We're catching it on the toe. We're catching it too high, too low, whatever it may be. We're just not finding kind of the center of the club face as often as we were before. And so womp womp, the ball speed is kind of the exact same. So obviously nothing to be concerned about. I would be surprised if this actually maintained a flat average, especially when we're making some just kind of mechanical changes to the swing itself. It's going to take a little bit for it to feel comfortable and for us to really start getting back to hitting the center of the club face. So not surprising, not worried about anything here, but just something that I thought was at least a little bit intriguing. So the last thing that I wanted to touch on here is spin rate. We have just made not a significant improvement, but we're trending in the right direction. So very pleased with where we sit at this point. Like I said, the range we want to get into is around 2,200 to 2,400. I think it's going to be challenging, but at least we're trending in the right direction where on this journey we started close to 2,800. Right now our average is just under 2,600. So we're sitting at 2,593. That to me is just like trending in the right direction. I feel very good about that because I think of all of these, to me, the efficiency side is how much spin you're putting on the ball, right? When you put spin on the ball, it balloons, your peak height goes higher, your ball is spending more energy going up instead of it going out. So I am very cognizant about this card in of itself, more so maybe than any of the others. So I think that's where we are today. Like I said, there's some other metrics in here that are at least intriguing to run through. You can go phase by phase each and every week, each and every session, just kind of what the numbers actually spit out. So tonight's, our carry is actually pretty solid. Our average carry is 259. So that means that we're kind of increasing where the baseline was around 256. Right now we're sitting close to 259. So call that 3 yards per average carry. I call that a win. We're trending in the right direction. So look at spin. Like that's awesome, man. That's what I'm trying to get at. So like I said, dashboard is updated. Feel free to hop in and review yourself. Just we're gonna get there, guys. I feel very confident a few weeks in. The dashboard looks almost like identical to the baseline. Not much has changed, but I'll tell you where I feel in my swing and then some of the positives and things like spin going in the right direction. I feel a little bit of confidence that we're going to get to that 300-yard mark.